about the last time you typed, I concede in an online argument? Or maybe you waived your rights on some long terms and conditions page. You probably didn't realize you were actually invoking the ghosts of Roman warlords and medieval debt collectors.
Yeah, it is so true. I mean, we use these mundane, everyday terms without realizing they are actually loaded with ancient violence and, just absolute chaos.
Right. Well, welcome to our deep dive. Today, we have this really fascinating set of linguistic notes. We are charting the Latin and Old French roots of everyday words related to giving up. Our mission today is to uncover the brutal, hidden history of these words and see how modern office jargon is secretly built on ancient battlefields. So, okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with the most literal form of giving up, which is physical warfare.
Oh, definitely. And surrender is the perfect starting point for that. It comes from the old French ronder.
Which means to hand over, right?
Exactly. Combined with sur, meaning over or above, you can actually hear its connection to simpler words like render or surplus.
Wow.
Right. So when you surrendered, you were literally handing over the surplus of your weapons. You lift them up over your head so the enemy could visibly see you were disarmed.
Wow, so there is a very physical bodily action tied to that word, but then you have a word like capitulate. To me, that sounds so, I don't know, formal and administrative. Wait, it shares a root with words like capital and captain, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. It comes from capitulum. That literally means the chapters or the headings of a document.
But wait, drafting chapters sounds like you were sitting at a table negotiating. Why does capitulate feel like such a total loss today? I mean, isn't a treaty better than just being conquered?
Well, it is, but you weren't the one holding the pen.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the victor was the one dictating the minutia of your future existence. When a city capitulated, they weren't negotiating at all. They were being forced to sign the specific, grueling chapters of their own defeat.
Just total administrative subjugation. Which, speaking of subjugate, that is arguably the darkest imagery in this whole stack of notes.
Oh, it is incredibly visceral. It literally means to trap the defeated under an ox's yoke, under the subway.
Okay.
And the yoke is jugum. Think of being conjugal, yoked together in marriage.
Wow.
To subjugate a conquered people was to literally march them under an animal's yoke. It was a physical demonstration that they were now beasts of burden.
That is so heavy. So if subjugation is total physical dominance, what happened when generals realized a stalemate was better than just a total slaughter? Like, did the language soften at all?
It did, yeah. That is where we get the word concede. It means completely withdrawing from a position. Con means completely. And ceder is to withdraw.
Like a receding hairline.
Exactly like that. You are just backing away from the line of combat. And over time, we see this linguistic phenomenon called semantic bleaching.
Right, where these highly specific violent terms slowly dilute into everyday metaphors.
You got it. Humans just naturally reach for dramatic words to emphasize mild actions, which is why today you concede a point in a Zoom meeting instead of, backing away from a drawn sword.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. So we have gone from the battlefield to the boardroom, basically. But this loss of territory wasn't just a military problem, was it? What about civilian life?
Right. In civil life, you could lose your property through a forfeit. In Latin, acting outside the legal boundaries was foris facere.
Foris meaning outside, like a foreign land.
Yes, and a facere meaning to act or make, like a factory. Because you acted as an outsider to the law, your property was confiscated.
So you became a literal outsider. And if you didn't break the law, but maybe, I don't know, just couldn't pay your debts, what happened then?
Then you might waive your rights. This comes from the old French viffa. It referred to something abandoned, just swaying in the wind like it had no owner.
Swaying, like the word waiver.
Exactly. It is directly connected to waiver.
Oh, wow. So waiving a right is literally waving goodbye to it, just letting it blow away in the breeze. The notes also mention yield, which was historically tied to giving up a shop because of unpaid medieval guild debts. And relinquish fits in here too, right?
Yes, it does. Relinquish is leaving, or linker, ownership behind, which is the repart. You drop your ownership and leave it in the dust as a relic.
A relic, wow. A leftover from an earlier time. Okay, so we've lost our physical land, we've lost our money. Here's where it gets really interesting. How do we surrender the mind? Like our very beliefs and status?
This takes us straight into the realms of religion and royalty. Take the word renounce. The root is nuntiare, to declare.
Which is where we get announce.
Exactly. You are actively, publicly announcing your break from a belief system.
It is basically a public breakup with an ideology. But religious surrender goes even deeper with the word abjure.
Much stiffer. To abjure was a very grave act. It means swearing before God to distance yourself from a heresy.
Swearing like jurere, like a jury, or committing perjury.
Right, and ab is to distance. You are literally under oath, tearing your soul away from a forbidden thought.
Just swearing it away.
Yeah.
And if you are a king giving up the throne,
then you abdicate. And this offers such a brilliant insight into how ancient people viewed authority. It comes from a king speaking to throw away their royal power.
Speaking is dicere, like a dictator.
Yes. If power was thought to be divinely spoken into existence, the only way to break that spell was for the king to literally speak it away.
Wow. For you listening, we hope you see that every time you concede an argument, waive a fee, or renounce a habit, you're basically playing out these vivid, mini-movies of human history.
What's fascinating here is how history lives in our mouths. We carry the ghosts of Roman treaties, medieval guilds, and divine oaths in our everyday conversations.
Yokes, swords, and sworn oaths, just hiding inside an email to your boss. It leaves you wondering. If our modern words for giving up are rooted in ancient war, law, and religion, what vivid imagery are we unconsciously creating right now that will become the basic vocabulary for people hundreds of years in the future?